time waster project. I was digging through a box of junk someone gave me and I came across this. And instantly it's an AM radio, or part of an AM radio. And I started analyzing it. And part of the circuit board's broken off, which contained the power supply, but the rest of it seems to be there. The tuning capacitor, oscillator coil, your 2 IF stages, audio transformer, and the output transistors, and the antenna. And I was screwing with it, applying 12 volts to what looked like power and ground. It's PNP transistors, so of course ground is positive. And wasn't getting anywhere. It's something I would just like to see work, so I started looking at it real close. And I came across this. I don't know if you can see that. This is something Sears did, which was really cool. They soldered a little tag. They gave the chassis number. So I was able to get on the Sam's website and found the schematic for it and downloaded it. And here's what it came out of. Now what I've done, and I'm going to get into the computer and show you guys the schematic, and I would have never ever figured this out, but this thing runs on positive 1.4 volts and then basically 12 volts and 27 volts, and the ground kind of floats on this. Let me get into the computer and I'll blow this up and point out some stuff. So here we go. I'll try not to make everybody sick. Hold the camera still. So here's the power supply. Of course, this is the right way on the computer, so I'm holding it. Power transformers here. Positive 1.4 volt source, negative 9.8 volts, negative 11.2, negative 27. And this 390 ohm resistor is actually on the board, so I don't have to screw with that. All I have to do is supply a positive 1.4, 11.2, and 27 volts. The 27 volts is for let's see if I can, hold on. I can't do this all at once. Is for the output, and it does not use an audio output transformer. It uses a 30 microfarad, so it uses a positive 1.4 volts and then a negative 27, so whatever, 28.4 volts across this thing. Now what's interesting is this whole circuit here is completely floated above ground, so the 1.4 volts is kind of null and void here. The only place I can find that the 1.4 volts comes into play, why they would go through this and do this, is this driver circuit. And basically you see here they use the positive 1.4 volts. Even here, what's the point of this? Oh, here's where they use it. They have the positive 1.4 volts here, and then they have the base grounded through a 680 ohm resistor. So this is essentially your or 6.8K, sorry. This is essentially this 1.4 volts up through here to ground is essentially your bias on this transistor. That's the whole reason for that. The 1.4 volts is not used. Well, I guess maybe it is, because it would be positive 1.4 volts from here up through the emitter and then down to ground, up through here and then down to ground through the IF transformers, 2 IF stage. This is a very interesting way of doing things. I've kind of decided that I could make a power supply for this by using, for the low voltage part of it anyway, 13 volts and using 2 diodes in series, which would give me about a half a volt to 3/4 of a volt drop across each one of them, which will give me about 1.4 volts. And then I could put a capacitor like a 0.1 across that as a RF decoupling and let the ground float. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and power this thing up on a power supply and see if I fried it. This is the radio it was in right here, this beauty. 1966, I believe. 1966. So let me get it hooked up to the power supply and we'll see if it works. Let me see if I can show you the what the circuit board looked like here. So yeah, you can see this is the part that was missing right here, the power supply section. Broken off, but we're not going to use that anyway. See if we can make it work. Okay, so I've got my 3 output power supply all configured. This is pretty configurable. I got it stacked. This is my ground up here. This is -12. I got this set at -12, -27. Then I got the ground loop down here, and I got this as my positive 1.4 volts. I got my speaker hooked up. I soldered wires onto the bottom of the board. So, do I dare flip the switch? Very good chance that this thing was mothballed because it didn't work, or I fried it by applying the wrong voltage to the wrong place. So let's see what happens. Here goes. Ooh. Can we hear that? Will the camera pick that up? Ooh, it's working. Absolutely no sensitivity, but I mean no volume, but it's working. No, not even any measurable current on any of these. Let me go over my... good going. Let me go over my voltages again. Okay, there's my 27. It's my 11.4. There's my positive 1.4. I wonder how... Yeah, let me fix the... So our speaker, it doesn't give an ohm rating. That's always nice, but not that that matters. We got a 30 microfarad here that could be open. We got a 2 microfarad here that could be open. This 100 microfarad, that wouldn't really affect much more than just the bass. It would just sound real tinny if that was open. So easy enough to check those. Let's see, the only other one right here, this is the 10 microfarad. This is the AVC, like the AJC filter. That might cause all the squealing. So let me check those out. So you guys that watch my videos know the method I use to quick check capacitors is I just use a PC speaker with a basically this setup in series with it. So we'll just pick something here. We'll just roll out with a little Alan Jackson. Better pause that. Need to crank the balance all the way over to, let's see, sound settings. Yeah, like you guys need to see this. Crank the balance all the way over to the right. Play this. We disconnect this, and what we do is we check the capacitors with this. And I don't know if I can hold this and do this at the same time, but let me make sure the volume is all the way up here. So we got one right there, so we got one from here. From there to the streets, people go around. So that one's okay, not open anyway. Okay, then we got one right there. That one's pretty reduced. That one's pretty reduced. Okay, then we got these two here. So we got one. That one's gone. That one's totally gone. And we got one. That one's non-existent. That one's completely open. You can watch my other video on this, but basically as the microfarads go down, it filters the bass off. So a 1 microfarad's only going to let, say, super high-end frequencies through. 2.2, you know, usually in a speaker system like a mid-range will be filtered at about 8 microfarads and a tweeter at about 2 to 3 microfarads. So that gives you an idea what it should sound like. So let me pull these, get the soldering iron out and pull these. So here's that coupling cap out of the circuit that I suspected, and you can hear how well it works. I'm going to bridge it with a 2.2 I pulled out of a junk TV. Let's see, kill this. Let's go over here. This is this 2 microfarad right here. Completely open. It feeds the driver, so that would explain why we had no audio. So I'm going to solder this new one in. You know, I have a really kind of insane way of testing and fixing things that I've developed over about the 20-something years I've been doing this. And I get these really cool comments, you know, that say things like, you know, before you even remove the back cover off the TV or radio, you need to replace all the capacitors. Before you even bother to take one screw out of it, and it's like, okay, sure, whatever you say. And obviously the people that make the comments don't bother to watch the video till all the way to the end to see that I tend to get some kind of results that are cool, whether it's working or smoke or fire or, you know, something. So let's stick this capacitor in here and see what happens. Okay, capacitor's stuck in there. Let's power it up. See what happens.
That's 877-354-4040 or go to republicmonetary.com. Are you putting your money into an IRA pension? Rosecrans, accident left lane, north 5 Rosecrans, that's busy, but boy, the south 5, flow from Buena Vista in the Burbank area. This is again.
Okay. I have a feeling the rest of this kind of crappy performance is due to, well, the rest of the capacitors, but mainly that AFC filter that's to shunt the noise off of the output of the detector going back to the...
Donors have choices about where to donate their funds. Seen it on TV with Chuck Norris and Christy.
But hey, it works. You know what? Let me... Because all that whistling...
Because we're going to let... Try the total fee for just $1. If you call right now, 1-800-746...
Let me change that AGC capacitor. Yeah, capacitor, that's what it is. Well, here's one problem with my volume is the speaker is 45 ohms. I'm probably driving into, let's see, what is this thing? Yeah, 4 ohms. Boy, that's like driving into a brick wall. Well, the caps are changed. Let me see if I can burn the audio amp up. Plug it back in. Oh.
6540.
Your drains are... Call now, 1-800-895-8035. That's... 여행사와 라디오 서울이 함께하는 여행 시리즈 제7단 실크로드 양치랑...
IC 슈퍼 LA닷컴.
문화와 풍경이 가득한 오로모치.
3000년 전의 미라.
Let me see if I have another speaker. Okay, here we go. Here's that speaker assembly out of that Magnavox console TV that I scrapped out. And one thing to remember on this old equipment that didn't have the ability to produce a lot of power is speaker efficiency is everything.
Flag Day, by the way. Happy birthday to the Army. We'll get to that in a minute. So let me just tell you what Obama did today. He spoke in Ohio, and then he flew to a fundraiser. He's going to 2 fundraisers tonight, and that's his schedule. Now let me tell you what Reagan did on Flag Day and the birthday of the Army.
Okay. One thing I noticed is these output transistors get super hot, and 150 degrees, and I think and yeah, they're both about 150 degrees, so I was going to play with the
He appointed a judge. He met with representatives from Hawaii to take pictures and celebrate their 25th anniversary. He met with George Schultz to talk about
oh, shut up. Why?
In 1984, and I just thought I'd share. It is Flag Day. Let me make a recommendation to you, and I promise we're going to get back to your phone calls. But my father just texted me.
Yeah, try and turn the voltage down and.
He's flying today on Flag Day. My father, a Marine. He's flying today on Flag Day. The flag I got him from Congress. And if you don't know about this, you got to take advantage of this. For Christmas last year, I got my daddy a flag flown by Congressman Devin Nunes. It was flown over the Capitol in D.C. on my mother's birthday. And it's verified to have been flown on her birthday in her name to honor, well, in his name to honor my mother for somebody that you
Okay, so this 27 volts doesn't seem to make that big of a difference.
Let's go to the hometown and talk to Casey in Fresno, California. Hey, Casey.
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
Sure. How about that weather, Casey?
Well, it's about the same here in Dallas as it is in California, about 100 degrees.
Yeah. Ugh.
And it's wonderful to hear you speak. You called the Central Valley the breadbasket, and I've always called Fresno the cultural center of California.
Well,
I believe that's a bit of a young man.
well, you know, we have a girl who won a record number.
I guess it does get kind of distorted and start clipping.
So, and we've got Soroyan. We got that going for us.
Yeah.
So anyway, your thoughts?
Yeah. What you're talking about, one thing, I'm fourth generation out of Fresno, by the way.
Right on.
And my family's always worked for themselves. They've always been independent business people. And there's something that made sense to me regarding, you know, if you're going into business to make profit, is you don't want people taking your money. And the people that I don't want taking my money, and my family was subtly the same way, is you don't want the government dipping into your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
the thing that
I'm sure you agree that, I mean, to some degree, if we're getting our roads, our infrastructure, our police, our fire, I'm happy to pay for that. It's all...
Boy, that 1.4 volt bias sure is touchy.
from private independent business, but not from personal taxpayers.
You know, tending to those who are truly in need is, I think, is a good thing. I think churches and families and neighborhoods and communities should do it first, and then the government steps in. But in general, that's when I get annoyed, is the great redistribution.
Wow.
And the demonizing of the wealthy, the demonizing of those who have made it and have a business that employs me, and they make more. If they don't make more than $250,000 a year, Casey, they're not going to survive.
It begs the question to me, and that is that what's the incentive for a young person to go into business for themselves rather than just take a job? What's the point? And the thing that alarms me, I registered as a Republican since I was 18 years old, 1971. There's been times where I thought that I really had to compromise. I've never crossed the line in terms of my affiliation, but there's been times where I thought, boy, we don't have the best candidate in the world to represent what I call our interests.
I guess I've lost you, Casey, and I'm sorry. I appreciate your call, and we've all.
Very well executed baseline.
We don't want to be a slave of sin. We don't want to keep doing those things that we should not be doing. We want to be free. Jesus came to set us free. And they said, well, we don't.
He blocked it off the glass. Here's Harden. 790 KABC. Flowing real estate. And I'm not talking about owning some house in the desert. I'm talking about owning. Está a punto de perder su casa. Llame al abogado Leonardo.
Okay, I just deleted the 27-volt source and connected it. And you can hear it's kind of clipping, but it's working.
O disfrute de la gran variedad de tés, cápsulas, extractos o hierbas naturales. Guru. My Instant Guru provides 24/7 monitoring and management.
Heavy loads upon their backs, and they weren't even lifted.
Trying to get the LAX station.
Bueno, será hasta mañana.
인자와 복 가진 자가 구별되는 세상이 한국이라면 우리의 조국의 미래는 참으로 잘못되어 가고 있다는 생각이 듭니다. 장에서 상품을 파는 상인들도 도둑들 사이에 속하는 것에 비하면은 이것은
Which I heard from God.
10 de la mañana a 12 del mediodía y de 1 a 2 de la madrugada. También puede escuchar la información.
The choice is yours, so why not take your BMW?
Pero cuando te vayas a acostar, tú agarras la crema de artrigón.
Pretty cool. We still have like one English-speaking station left on AM here in LA. Pretty cool. I guess maybe there is hope after all.
Yolanda del Río canta El día que me acaricies yo. $119 down, $119 a month. I bought my Ford from Bergie in West Hill.
I wonder if that problem is the radio, or if they really are just driving in a car, talking on a cell phone for broadcast.
전선에 연결된 누구도 그 어떤 어떤 곳도 만지거나 접근하지 마시고 즉시 911으로 전화하십시오.
예상되고 있습니다. 오늘 밤 LA지역 곳에 따라 흐리고 안개가 끼겠으며
Student published an essay on the influence.
We are serving. You are of your father, the devil, and the father you want.
So this one should be the oscillator right here.
Leave me. Why do you... God hears.
Dura sobre ruedas.
Trust that I build with them means the world of difference. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm an opportunist.
Diversión y hay mucho entretenimiento a la redonda. Tires, donde se corta.
It's now 69 degrees on LA's Miracle Mile. Traffic coming up. KNX News Time now 6:53. If you are planning to remodel your kitchen, go to thekitchenstore.net.
Pullovers is offering to set up your gold IRA for free.
Okay, so I'm still trying to get the LAX Air radio to check the sensitivity. It doesn't seem to be very sensitive. I'm going to tweak the oscillator tank down here.
Más te prenderán con música gratis. Solo compra unos Doritos y una...
It is God. The doors. It is God.
Round out the set list for the PMS Crunchy Group playlist for today.
Hallelujah. Yet you have not known him. We want to know the Father. We want to know how he moves, how he works, how he...
Pensamientos pecaminosos.
야, 487에 1300번.
안 되는 거야. 컴퓨터 없다고 빌릴 수도 없고 새거 살 수도 없고 어떡하지? 이게 뭐야? 올림픽 컴퓨터. The union wants and other
that extra help that your loved one, your parents, your grandparents deserve. These are experienced, compassionate caregivers who come into your loved one's home and provide the...
6669.
Okay, let's do an IF alignment.
Invest in yourself.
Tuning gang fully open. Close to it, there's nothing there. Get this out of here. Signal generator connected there into a coil of wire sitting here by the front end. Dial up 455 on here. 455. Set our modulation to internal, AM. Crank our modulation up. And we have nothing. There we go. Wow, the IF is way off. Way off. It's at like 460. First thing I'm going to do, take a Sharpie, I'm going to mark these. Now, tweak for maximum volume. IF was way off. Well, off a little bit.
De crédito, reorganizar los pagos de sus autos, eso es lo que es un capítulo 13. No tenga.
Make sure you're getting the advice and help you really need. Lots of people give advice about investments, but only real financial planners design your investment portfolio based on your goals and objectives, your risk tolerance, need for liquidity, and other factors. Only genuine financial planners help you with decisions about employee benefits.
Those should adjust the antenna and the oscillator, and they don't seem to do anything.
For a cure. With your help, we'll find it.
Hablar con él y platicar.
No one knows how to keep your Buick at its best, like Buick certified service expert.
Oh, yeah.
Difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Short black hair and a mustache. He was wearing a blue shirt and white pants.
Very mediocre performance, but it went from working or from not working from a circuit board in a box of crap to a performing radio, and that's what I like to see. So I hope you learned something from this and were able to sit through all 35 minutes of gibberish. Okay, we're pretty much done and working good here. I had some extra time at work to spend on this, so this thing's got way more time than it ever deserved. I came up with a power supply and re-engineered it to run on my 12-volt lithium-ion pack. I might take it camping with me and play around with it. I also had to parallel some resistors in to change the bias on the audio output since I'm running it on 12 volts versus 27. And I found the big problem with the sensitivity, which was, and this also makes sense why this adjustment wasn't doing anything yesterday. There was a break in the coil in the antenna right in the middle. You can see here where I pulled the wires out, found the break, pulled the wires out and twisted it back together and soldered it. That's why it wasn't working real well as far as sensitivity and the high noise floor, because it wasn't even connected to the antenna trimmer part of the tuning capacitor. So let's take a quick listen here.
7:30 a 8 de la mañana y asista al entrenamiento para eliminar la carestía de dinero.
Infórmese llamando al 1.
Siguen un estudio, es toda la cuestión de la norma. This is what the Lord has given us. 우리가 다 잘 아시면 약하시는 10분에 한해서 그런 혜택을 드리겠고요.
Consolidation and local radio. It was about the radio station, the progressive radio station down in San Diego.
Gun. We know how to fight and win drunk driving cases.
Sexta Victoria.
Wildfires in the kitchen involved. Too quick out.
I'm going to also...
Plantar fasciitis in his left foot. You can make the argument now. 5 starts in a row.
Virgin America and Virgin Australia international departures only, with Virgin Australia arrival.
This is my
number 5.
kind of sensitivity test on any AM radio if it'll pick up the LAX information little microtransmitter.
Find all international flights not mentioned.
Take a quick look at the bottom. You can see here my diodes that I added. Three diodes in series to regulate the positive 1.4 volts, and then there's some little 1/8 watt resistors that I used to make up the power supply. So looking at the audio output stage, basically what I had to do is I paralleled these two 1800s right here with a 3.3K to jack the bias up on this, which is supposed to run on 27 volts, and it's down at 12 because it was sounding real class F, real distorted. So I figured out the resistance by watching the static current, which is about 22 milliamps right now, which is about perfect, and it sounds good, and they're not getting warm or anything. Down here I basically used my diodes are here to regulate the 1.4 volt source, and then I got a I don't remember, I think I got a 220 ohm resistor here in place of this 680, and from here down to the diodes I got a 3.3K or a 2.2K. Anyway, all my voltages came out perfect. Radio works good. If you wasted 45 minutes of your life watching this, I appreciate it. And I hope you got something out of it.